Good morning, Jimmy. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. You're all decked out in your bright green day, man. You're looking good.
Well, thank you. I just thought I'd, wear something's kind of springy looking.
I have to be careful. I use that "man, you're looking good" all the time, and
Oh.
you may have heard the story when I got put in my place.
Oh, no, I have not heard this.
I was at a golf tournament. It was a Carl Perkins golf tournament, and Carl had just gotten out of the hospital with his first bout with his throat cancer. And I walked over to him. I said, "Carl," I said, "man, you're looking good." He said, "Oh, man, don't tell me that." I said, "Why?" I thought I'd offended him. He said, "Don't you know the three eras of a man's life?" I said, "No, what?" He said, "There's youth, there's middle age, and there's man, you're looking good." So I've always remembered that quote from Carl Perkins. So I have to be careful when I say, "Man, you're looking good." It's like you're calling somebody old. I didn't mean it that way.
Well, no, I did not take it that way at all. So,
Lori,
I appreciate the compliment.
Lori Nunnary's with you today. She's
She
2 days early, but that's okay.
I do what I do.
I know. Hey, we get along pretty well.
There we go.
We can forgive and forget. Can't
Thank you.
Yeah, I met with her. I said, I really don't have to tell you anything much about going on the radio, except for everybody's curiosity is because even Cleve this morning, and he's like, "Who's coming on with you?" I said, "Lori Nunnary," and he was like, he gave me the same look you kind of gave. Well, what does that have to do with anything when it comes to real estate? So
there's a medication that I'm on for some other problems right now, and it makes me forgetful. I said, "Hey, did I miss Monday and Tuesday both?"
We're just jumping to Wednesday this week. There we go.
Yeah, that's okay. I got 2 days off. I just didn't know it.
Well, hey, you know what? If it makes you feel any better, Thursday morning, I literally had just stepped out of the shower and my phone rung, and I just looked over to see who it was, and I saw it was the alarm system for the office. Okay? And so I picked up the phone. She's like, "Your alarm's going off." And I'm like, "Oh, you know what it is?" I said, "We have a group that meets there every Tuesday morning." I said, "That's probably just them going in the building." And she said, "All right." And she hung up. And as soon as she hung up, I was like, "Today's Thursday." So I was like, "Well, crap." So I had to turn around and I had to pull up my camera system on my phone. Couldn't remember the password. So I finally got it and got it pulled up and nothing. I have no idea what caused it to go off. But yeah, so I just told that lady, "Oh yeah, it's probably just Tuesday morning."
That's just an advance of what senior moments are going to be like. I have those daily, man.
Well, unfortunately, I'm having them more frequently than I would like.
Walk into a room and go, "Why am I here?"
I haven't quite done that yet. I have not done that yet. I have walked in.
Oh yeah,
she's having
all
them
the
already
time.
too.
Oh, okay.
All the time.
But that's not why we're here.
That is not why we're here, to talk about future senior moments or active senior moments, either one.
Yeah, right.
So as you mentioned, we are with Lori Nunnary, and she is with, and I'm going to read this like Cleve used to do all the time when I'd come on, the Jackson, Tennessee Convention and Visitors Bureau. Mm-hmm. So appreciate you being on the show this morning.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am, and we appreciate you coming. My assistant helped set all this stuff up. And I knew I'd met Lori before, but not in the capacity that she's in now. So anyways, we figured out this morning where that was and when that was. So it's been quite a few years ago, as a matter of fact. But so everybody's curious, how does this hook together right here? So we're going to get to that. But first of all, as I told Lori before we came on, is a lot of people don't really understand what that is. And I'll be honest, I was one of those people. I didn't really know what that covers. So tell us a little bit about that and what that does.
Sure. Well, thanks for the invite to be here with you today. Tourism for Jackson Madison County, we call ourselves on the short end is Visit Jackson TN. We are the destination marketing organization for Jackson and Madison County. We were started by an act of the Tennessee legislature, a special act of the Tennessee legislature. And so what our goal is to attract people to stay in our hotels, to stay the night, to visit Jackson. And another part of our mission is also to improve the quality of life of Jacksonians. So it's two-part. One is to get people to stay the night here, then to improve the life. Our office is funded through the collection of hotel motel taxes. So when you go to Nashville or wherever and you see that little charge on the end that they say, there's this extra percentage. In Madison County, it's a 5% fee that's added on to the hotels. We are funded through that 5% collection. Now, the good news is that tourism here, people that stay the night, not only do we get funded, but the city and the county also get funded. So out of all the money that's generated, 40% goes to the city, 40% goes to the county, and then we operate off of the remaining 20%. So last year, that was about $1.9 million that came in just on the hotel motel taxes. So if you do the backwards math on that, that's about $38 million worth of room nights that happen in Madison County. And
Interesting.
so we operate off of that 20%. So we're around the $300,000 mark for funding.
Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned on something. You said the improving,
Yes.
right? And so that's kind of where the connection comes in here just a little bit. So Lori and I have been emailing each other back and forth a little bit, kind of talking about how we're going to make these things fit today. And I think probably by now it's probably clear to everybody how these things fit together. But, you know, tourism also helps bring in people that might visit here that might say, you know, this is not a bad place to live. You know, I might want to think
Absolutely.
about this. And I know my real estate background, I used to get a lot of people that would come and retire in Jackson because there's, you know, in their minds there's things to do, but it's not like Nashville where you can't move around, right? And just give me your ideas on that, on how you see those two things mirroring together.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely, you're 100% right on that. I know that one of the things that we always used to talk about at Jackson Downtown Development Corporation, the downtown organization, was so many times businesses, before they relocate, they'll be traveling through, they'll be on a trip, they'll be visiting a community, and they'll look for those potential communities. So yes, people visit your downtown, they visit your community, they check you out, and if it's a good place, and if it's hospitable, and if there's great health care and there's great schools, people are interested in your community. And so yes, it's interesting how collaborative tourism and being a realtor is, because we're both trying to market the city in the best way we know how, to get people to come here and move here. And it's so important to our community. The average citizen would think, well, why is this important? Why is it important that you get people here? Well, it's important for the income. It's important for the census. It's important to have people in a population here. You know, many people don't realize that our community's been on a slight decline as far as the population. I'm like, well, why does that matter? They're still coming here to shop. They're still coming here to do things. They're like, no, we need that income in our community that's paying those taxes, that's using our infrastructure, that's doing these things. We need that money coming already in our community. So that's why realty is so important to us, is to make sure that if we can attract somebody here, hopefully we can get them to stay here.
Right. Now, that you mentioned Jackson Downtown Development, which is where we discovered I had met you the first time when you were working there, dealing with that, when the Lift Center was just kind of getting kicked off and taken off, and real estate had gone in and completely, you know, redone that little area right there. And as we continued to talk, I kind of grew up not too far away from there, and still has a son that's over there and doing other stuff. So when you talk about tourism, though, coming into Jackson, I mean, you know, naturally where we're sitting right now is one of the places most people just automatically go to is the Casey Jones Village, right?
Absolutely.
So what other areas, I mean, like, would you consider to be something that you try to promote? I mean, I'm sure it's probably everything that would have anything to do with tourism, but what are some specifics on that?
Yeah, it's wide open for us. What's interesting is we have an app, Visit Jackson TN. It's an app.
Okay.
And so we look on there. So we have a listing of our hotels. We have a listing of the attractions, like the Old Country Store. We have a listing of the locally owned restaurants.
Oh, nice.
We have the locally owned and operated retail, the arts. Events play a major portion of our tourism, attracting people in. The music scene. So it's wide open. You know, the history side of it is always the sports and outdoors. Sports tourism is a leading draw, especially with the Jackson Generals and the West Tennessee Healthcare Sportsplex going on. That's a draw for us, along with the strength of what soccer does. And if you look, you know, the city's working on the equestrian center. I'm sorry, the county is with the equestrian center. I mean, it's all across the board.
Okay, so you've hit on a couple of things real estate related in what you just said. So the first one is you talked about the local restaurants and you talked about the arts and other things. Well, you know, most of those local restaurant owners live here.
Yes.
And so if you're trying to draw more people into the area based off of tourism, from the real estate standpoint, they got to have a place to live.
Exactly.
And so that's where that comes in, and you know, and having those local owners, which is always a good community, and always where I'm looking for a strong community when you've got local business owners, right? And so that's one of the things. But the other thing you mentioned the Generals out there and the Sportsplex, and you talked about soccer, which are all big things. And the equestrian, I think I might have heard about a little bit, but that's something I wasn't even for sure about. But when real estate, not just me, but a lot of other agents, even today, when they're bringing in executives for some of these larger corporations that are coming in, they want to tour Jackson. And it's not just, where's the shopping, where do I go to the grocery store, where's the local hospital. They want to see it all. So
Exactly.
it was not unusual for us to be driving past the General Stadium, showing them our baseball team that we've got, going past the soccer complex out on the north side of town, especially, and even at one point in time, I've even had clients in the past that were interested in roller hockey, and they have two roller hockey rinks out there. They don't get used much anymore, I don't believe, but that was a thing at one time, and and it's just stuff like that. So you're right, you don't think about it much, the tourism side of it, but they want to know, what is there to do here. So if I move here, am I going to have something to do?
Exactly.
Are my children going to have something to do? If I have family and friends that move in, are they going to have something to do? And the hotel, which I thought was interesting, I didn't realize that part. I didn't know how you were funded till we started talking. So hotels are really important as well, too. Because a lot of our hotels, if I'm not mistaken, you probably know this more than I do, are probably owned locally as well, too. I know some of them are for sure. So
yeah, there's a wide mix of it. And one of the other things that's so important, people when we have visitors come in and they're looking to relocate, churches is something that they're always looking at. The medical care that we have here is also something that they look for, and it's when you're able to talk about West Tennessee healthcare and what they offer, it's a great drawing asset for us, a great drawing asset. But you're right, there's a lot of different things. Just think what would attract you to a community, depending upon what stage of life you're in. There's a lot of different things.
That's true, there is. All right, well, real quick, I'm going to turn it over to Jimmy real quick, and Jimmy's going to do a quick little thank you for us.
Yes.
That's what we'll call it today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Voice of Real Estate is a presentation of CWTAR, the Central West Tennessee Association of Realtors, and sponsored by Leaders Mortgage Services at 36 Stonebridge, 215-6678. When you're looking for mortgage products, that is the one-stop shopping center. They have all sorts of programs, and they can tailor one to suit your needs, whether it be VA, FHA, conventional. They have a program that will fit your needs perfectly, and they can get that payment and all the closing costs and everything just right for you, and send you on your way. It's best to talk to them first before you go shopping. That way you know exactly what you can afford. They'll get you pre-qualified, and the rest is up to your realtor, and that's what we're here for, to get the realtor some business.
That's right.
Yep.
You should I know you can, but shouldn't try to do it on your own, because selling real estate is not like trying to sell a car or anything else. And too many times people try to associate those two things together, because that's their two largest purchases they typically make in their lifetime.
Yep.
Is their house and their car, and they're not even the same. You can walk into a car dealer and get financed today, no matter what your credit used to look like, but it does not work that way with the mortgage industry.
Nope.
So just keep that in mind, and there's plenty of us out there to give a call to. Not me included, but I say us because it's a habit. Yep. But yeah, so do contact a local realtor, have them help you with listing and selling of your property and finding the new one, and bringing people into the area. So we're going to go back to Miss Lori Nunnary, who we have with us this morning. And she's with the tourism here in Jackson, and they have an app. What was that app again that you had?
Visit Jackson TN.
Visit Jackson TN. So I'm trying to think. I might have had that app at one point in time on my phone.
The great thing about it, I'm not really an app person. We also have it on our website. So if you go to Visit you can see it on our website, the city's website, the county's website. It's everywhere.
Okay. All right. Well, as Lori and I talked about before we came on the air, I've talked in the past about the association. We cover 9 counties that we have, quote, in our jurisdiction, so to speak. But we actually have a lot of agents that are members here, but they're not in those 9 counties. It's just that this particular association fit their needs better than another one. But in talking to Lori, that is a big, struggle, I guess you could say, that you would have on your budget that you're operating on. Tell us a little bit about that, because there's only how many?
Out of the 27 counties in West Tennessee, there are only 3 true tourism offices like ours. So you have Memphis, you have here in Jackson, and then you have Hardin County. So there's only 3 of us to cover all these counties. So we're spread, we're beholden to our particular county.
Sure, of course.
But we know that if our other counties around us are successful, we'll be successful. We know that we have the hotel rooms, and that sometimes somebody's looking for the oldest running strawberry festival in Tennessee, or they're looking for those teapots, or they're looking for the Discovery Park or Civil War. And so what we try to do is, when we cover it, we take a broader approach than just Madison County. We look at the region outside of Shelby County, because we think it's important to help those counties lift up their message and get them out. And I know you guys do the same thing with what you're doing.
We do, and that's kind of what we were talking about. We're kind of comparing them, because I honestly, I really never thought about that. Hardin just sticks in my head. I'll come back to that one in a minute. But, we cover our 9 counties, and in the Memphis Association of Realtors, a lot of great people down there in a big association. We're almost on 4,000 members strong.
Oh, wow.
Down in Shelby County, but they cover 7 counties. But the problem is, no offense, but they probably don't care what's going on in the other 6
Right.
counties. The only thing they're concerned about is Shelby County. And I guess when you got that many members, because as I've told everybody all the time, there's only 4 associations in West Tennessee as it is, and we're the second largest by about 3,500 members shy. So even if you combined all the rest of us together, I mean, we don't even come close to touching what they have down in Shelby. So we do have to do our part in trying to, promote it all when we're out there. And
It's a struggle sometimes,
it
but
is
we do
very
it.
much a struggle. It really is, because it was so much easier. I was telling Lori before we got started. We used to be the Jackson Area Association of Realtors, and it was easy for us to partner with charitable organizations and stuff, because they're all based right here in Jackson. We were Jackson. It was easy, but then we started bringing in other counties and merging with other counties, and we bring in Henderson, and then we get Chester County, and then we get Gibson County, and then we get Haywood and Crockett County, and we just kept growing. And so when we changed from Jackson to Central, now then you have to try to uphold the name that you're carrying.
That's right.
So I guess in Memphis's defense, I'll give Memphis a defense here. They are the Memphis Area Association of Realtors. So there you go.
Yeah.
But it's that way all across the country for us. I go to these meetings, getting ready to go to Washington next week to be exact for the same type of deal. And I'll meet other associations that cover large geographical areas, much like we do, but so many of them just focus on the place where their office is located and what's going on. So I feel for you on that one, trying to promote other things that are going on in other areas.
Yeah.
But you hit on something which is very important, and I've talked about it on here before. You said what happens in those areas is also good for us as well too. And I've heard, I think I heard Brad mention it last week, that he took his grandchildren maybe up to the Trenton Teapot Festival. I think it was on the weekend. And I mean, but those are things that as Jacksonians, we might want to venture outside of Madison County to go see something else out there. And those are other things that you can promote to people that are moving into Jackson about, well, okay, we may not have exactly what you need right here, but like 15 minutes north of here, you've got the Strawberry Festival's coming up this week. You go a little bit further than that on up the road, and you got Teapot Festival, and you can go even further up the road than that and go to the Fish Fry, right?
That's right.
Those are the 3 that I think of, and they're kind of in a row on the way up there.
Yeah.
So, so anyways, with all those things together, it is what makes us who we are. And I think, and you mentioned this as well, sometimes it's harder to get people to see that really broad picture, that it's not just Madison County. I mean, we have our part. And we have stuff that we have to do here naturally, but anything that happens here is going to benefit anybody that's in these outlying surrounding counties.
Oh, you're exactly right. What's good for us is good for them. What's good for them is good for us. A lot of people weren't excited about the new Tyson plant coming in. Well, it's bringing in jobs. It's bringing in, there are people that are going to move here. It's going to change a lot of things.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually drove out at a meeting in Humboldt last Friday at the coffee shop there, downtown Humboldt. Nice little place. Been there several times. And as soon as I got done with my meeting, I drove out to the Tyson plant, because I talk about it a lot. I wanted to go see where it was and see what it looked like. And it's not that far outside of town, but, the key there, that's a good point you brought up. Those people have to have some place to live. And out of the number of jobs they're bringing in, Humboldt does not have that kind of real estate.
That's right.
So they've got to live somewhere. So there's going to be a lot of those people that are going to end up right here in Jackson.
Exactly.
And that's a great thing, a good comparison there on that.
Yeah, well, and people, it's just the mixture of people like living in urban settings, some people like the rural settings, and then there's a whole bunch of in between. So there's great opportunities in here. It's funny when people call and they ask us, they said, well, I want to be in a hotel that, is close to XYZ. And I'm like, in Jackson, everything's close to XYZ. You know, it's one of the things we found when we were working on our branding and trying to develop Visit Jackson, that it's like we have a rush minute here. You know, in Nashville you have a rush 24 hours.
That's right.
But here, you know, it's just a rush minute. And I'm really thinking about a branding campaign that we do, and we go to Nashville and we get in that market and say, come enjoy our rush minute and get a line on the 45 bypass, you know, and in a few more weeks, once everybody figures out where they really need to turn, it'll be fine, you know. But get people, get that rushed minute and take a drone through there and do it and just see. And then, you know, I'm driving to Chattanooga today and I'm just dreading going, you know, I'm taking 840 around because I just don't want to get in the mess of it all.
Good idea.
And I'm used to city driving, so it doesn't bother me, but you know, we're going to be the suburb of Nashville. I think we need a marketing campaign that says, you know, get back to the rush minute, you know, get back where you can have gig fiber to the home, get back, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great opportunities that we have here.
No
and I
doubt.
think, like with the NFL that was in there, what was it, 2 weeks ago when they had
Oh, yes.
600,000 people there.
Wow.
Come to Jackson, you know, get away from that. You know, it's crazy what's going on there.
Absolutely is.
It is crazy, and I was getting. Oh yeah, my brother, when he moved back to Jackson, he went to school here, and then he graduated, moved to Memphis, and lived over there forever. He when he came back to Jackson, he just lives I don't know, close to the hospital. He lives over in the hospital area, right? And of course, I live off Ashport Road, so on the north side of town, which is pretty much where I've lived since I got married. And he laughs. He's like, "Y'all don't ever come to the house." And I was like, "You live all the way on the other side of town." And he starts laughing, and he was just like, "It's like what, 10 minutes?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, that's like too far. Like at least 5 minutes too long." I said, "I can go to the grocery store and get back home in 5 minutes." And
We're getting soft, aren't we?
we really are. I mean, we have gotten spoiled here. I'll be honest with you, because when he lived in Memphis, he worked less than a half a mile from where his house was, but it took him almost 35 minutes to get to work every single morning to get to work. So he knew he had to leave the house at a certain time. He said, I could probably actually have walked over there,
Right.
you know, faster than I could have driven over there.
Yes.
Except for there was no good way to get there without getting run over, because he had to cross over 2 highways to get there. But still, you know, his office was just literally like on Sunday you could drive over there in 5 minutes, but during the work week, no, it's a good 35-minute drive. So it's what we get used to, and what's going on. But yeah, Nashville is not someplace that I would want to be. I said it one time I would, but every time I go there and I come home, I'm just like, nope, that's out of the question.
Yeah. I think we can. I think we've got a potential marketing campaign here,
I think
guys.
so.
I think
I
we
think
can
you
do
do
it.
too. I think you do too. Well, Jimmy gave me the whole hands up over there. I thought he was high-fiving me, but I think what he was telling me is I only got 5 minutes left. I think is what he was telling me, and I probably used up a couple of those.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
We're good. All right, well, good. Well, just a couple of things just coming up here. So our golf tournament, as you've probably heard, got moved to August the 22nd based on the horrendous weather that we didn't have the Thursday a couple of weeks ago. And, yes, I've gotten plenty of phone calls about that. So all of you that were supposed to play or come to that event, my apologies, but I did not make that decision on my own. That was a committee decision. I just happened to be the one getting the phone calls saying, wow, the weather was really bad today, and I don't even know who these people are. There's no name associated with the number. So, yes, I've gotten my fair share. But
You need to come hang out with us. We get the same grief with the amp. It's
do you?
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Because then y'all just had to move a concert.
Yeah, they moved
closely.
it to the Civic Center. Relay for Life and the amp moved to the Civic Center.
Okay.
And it was.
Yeah, I heard that on the radio,
Yeah.
I'm sure, because I listen every time I'm in the car. This is where I got it tuned to, right here, 93.1. So,
Good move.
And I got to meet Mr. Rawl this morning.
Yeah, John.
So-
yeah, he was in earlier.
Yeah, he was. So I got to meet him this morning, so I was happy about that. So, well, if you just got here and you tuned in late with us, we have Miss Lori Nunnary on with us this morning with the, and I'm going to let you say what it is because I don't have it right here in front of me, and I
Visit
won't give it.
Jackson TN.
There you go. Visit Jackson TN. That's their app right there. And we certainly appreciate her coming on the air this morning with us. So a little different than our normal conversation, but it all kind of works out to be the same in the long run on what we get to talk about and what's going on. And I know they've probably got some exciting events coming up. But now, do you have a regularly scheduled spot here?
I
heard
do
you
on
saying.
Wednesdays.
Yeah, Wednesday
Yeah.
On
mornings.
Wednesday
Yeah.
mornings. Okay.
We talk about tourism and lots of good things.
That's probably where
Yeah.
I've heard her been on the air.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so she's going to tell you tomorrow tomorrow, Wednesday, what all the cool stuff's going on when she comes back on the air with Jimmy.
Absolutely.
So, Lori, thank you for being here this
Thanks
morning.
for having
Certainly
me.
appreciate it. And Jimmy, as always, thanks for being here.
Yes, and thanks to the hand behind the curtain
Mr.
over there,
Paul.
Paul Schulze, the owner-operator of Worthy Road Studios. He keeps us up to date and keeps us on the air on our Facebook feed, on the
He does.
CWTAR Facebook page, Facebook Live. So if you miss part of it, just rewind it and go back over there and watch it again.
That's right.
All
That's
right,
right.
we'll do this again next Monday morning about 10:15 or so on The Voice for Real Estate, presentation of CWTAR and presented by Leaders Mortgage Services, Allstate Insurance, NG Houghton Hughes Agent, Pete Dubuisson and National Property Inspections, and Bird Attorneys at Law. See you next week.
Collision Specialist opened in 1989